Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The off-season is kind of here before the World Cup, but Scrappy still is getting involved in a certain bit of drama, certainly with the OpTic scrims going down last night. Some interesting thoughts from Scrappy on Shotzzy's playstyle. Lots of criticism at times for Shotzzy, TikTok and all this stuff over the last couple of years, but he silenced the doubters for sure at the World Championship, winning the MVP and winning the entire thing. Scrappy though seemingly not quite so convinced at the merits of his play. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Pretty sure this is Kremp6's final race, by the way, of his season that he's doing over there. I thought it was just kind of cold as well, actually. You guys might not be able to quite see this, so let me make sure that you can. The top of his car, every tournament or every race that he's won, he's put the winner sticker on his car, and they're all kind of just like lighting up now throughout the season, so thought that was kind of cold. Just interestingly here from Treyarch, Black Ops 6 is coming around. They're talking about the mastery camos. I know that the camos, like, to me, the maps are like the most important thing in the entire game. The camos, it's like, okay, it's nice, but it is what it is. This is from Black Ops 4, of course, but there are rumors that, well, Treyarch say at least, their mastery camos are the best they've ever done. I've seen so much cool stuff on COD Mobile, like the camos they do over there. There's some COD Mobile gun with like an entire battlefield on the weapon itself. It's absolutely mad, and if they can do that on a mobile device, then surely they can cook up something pretty spectacular on a PC or a console. We'll see if that actually happens or not. Before we go further, quickly on the top 20 to go through the others, Cellium gets top 8 here, right? And of course there was going to be some debate on this in the replies, as, you know, whether Cellium should have been higher, because his numbers were basically the best again in the entire league. I mean, number 1 LAN overall KD, number 1 LAN opening dual win percentage, number 1 in terms of percentage of series with either a 1 KD or above, with 91% of series at over a 1 KD, and 81.6% of controls with over a 1 KD. So, you know, great numbers from Cell as always. But does that tell the entire story, right? That is always the question with Cellium. I think, as I said the other day, I had him at about 10th or 11th, I think, in my list. And maybe there's a bit of recency bias in play there, because he was, like, I think he was better at the start of the season than he was towards the end. I think that probably coincides with Drazah stepping it up, but it seems like, based on the voting here, that Drazah is going to be above Cellium. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he is, because Cell's at 8, and we haven't seen Drazah yet, so he's got to be up there, right? And I think that's very interesting to think about, because over the last few years, it's always been, oh, well, Cellium is like the AR for FaZe, and then their other AR isn't quite as good. But Drazah was really good this year, and I think that's the key question for FaZe going into the World Cup and potentially beyond, is that Cell was, you can argue that Cellium was the weaker of the 2 ARs this year. Now, the numbers don't necessarily point at that, but I think kind of the eye test and watching the gameplay makes you feel like that's probably a valid interpretation. Certainly, it seems like the voting felt that way. And therefore, arguably, Cellium's like worst year as a player. I mean, still, like, the numbers are great. Like, his Search and Destroy as well was great at the World Championship and in the stage before as well at stage 4. But, you know, kills per 10, damage per 10 wasn't really there in the respawn modes. And part of that was because Drazah was stepping up his play and actually played really well. But I think there's still a question on Cell as to how he needs to play, because for Cellium, in the early days of like Black Ops 4, let's say, he was a fast player, you know, he was aggressive. The same thing in MW19. That's not been the case over the last few years, and I feel like this year we finally started to see that, you know, the impact wasn't really there quite so much. And of course, I think the poor World Championship result also raised questions on what that looks like, right? But we had aBeZy, I think, maybe at 11th or 12th on our list. Here's Cellium, and Drazah and Simp are still to come. So that's a pretty interesting observation, really. And 7th goes to Pred. So of course, there's always going to be so much debate on this, what's fair, what's not fair, whether he should have been lower or higher, whatever. I think this is probably about right. Like, over the course of the season, Pred was a really strong SMG. Yes, he had his slump periods, but what matters more to me when I was kind of doing my rankings here is what happens on LAN, right? And that's really, like, online COD, it is what it is. What I really care about is how you're going to perform on LAN, especially LANs in front of crowds, and that's where Pred is at his best, right? I think there's absolutely no doubt about it. You can even see it if you look at the results. 3rd, 2nd, 1st. The major without fans, last, right? And then 1st at the World Championship. And I think part of that genuinely is Pred's just natural kind of, well, inclination towards when there's energy in the crowd. He absolutely feeds off it, and he plays his best stuff when he's confident, and he's most confident in front of a crowd. And there's not that many players that applies to. That's why I find Pred so impressive. So, you know, his numbers are good as well. I mean, obviously this year, he's not playing with Accuracy, Mac, and Sib, respectfully. He's playing with Shotzzy, Dashy, and Kenny. So his numbers, you're not expecting them to be quite as good, but he did have the #1 overall KD at the World Championship, had the #1 S&D KD in a grand finals, and you know, many other positive stats. And it was quite the roller coaster of a season for Pred, right? Because he started very well. Stage 2 wasn't as good. Stage 3 was better, and then they went on to win. Stage 4 was a disaster. They said about that, probably the better. And even let's not forget, there were points in Stage 2, Stage 3. Karma was talking about how Pred needs to stop laying down, needs to stop with his laydown cheese, start to play in a different way. And, you know, we've seen Pred be able to do that over the last couple of years, making it work with Shotzzy. I always thought they were going to find a way to make it work. And, well, let's see what happened at the end of the year. The results speak for themselves on that one. In many respects, Pred was, you know, certainly in terms of hardpoint, he was the #1 kills per 10 of all SMGs at the World Championship. And, of course, one of the key reasons why they won the entire thing. Now, speaking of Scrappy here, we've got to talk about the World Cup real quick, because this is like the group stage that's coming up. And after the group stage, of course, over the first couple of days, they go quarters, semis, and then grand final. Now, it's worth noting that for the, well, let's say for the quarters and for the semis and everything, they've still only allocated 1.5 hours per series, which is the amount of time you allocate for a best of 5. And the grand finals, actually, this semi-final does have a 2-hour gap here, which is quite interesting, but I imagine they just want an extra 30 minutes before the grand finals to, well, do the vetoes and also do the preparation for the event. But Scrappy apparently said on stream that bracket play is a best of 7, because bracket play for the World Cup is a single elimination tournament, right? They play GSL-style groups, win 2 before you lose 2, and once the teams get out of the groups, and it's going to be like 20 matches over the first couple of days to determine which 8 teams get out of the 16 groups. But after that, it's a single elim bracket. And ideally, it would be double elim, but I think given the scheduling constraints and stuff like that, it's just difficult to actually make that work. So unfortunately, it is a single elim tournament, so there's no top 6 or there's no top 3. It is merely top 8, top 4, grand finals, or the winner. And we did used to have this in COD back in the day. Famously, the Black Ops 3, you know, Stage 1 playoffs, Stage 2 playoffs in Black Ops 3 was single elimination, but best of 7s. And, you know, there were some interesting results that happened back then. So this would be good, but I don't think it's actually going to be happening, because Brian State says in the replies that this ain't true. It's only grand finals being a best of 7, kind of like we have in the CDL. And that also aligns with the timing, right? Because if all of these quarters and semis were going to be best of 7s, first of all, that's a lot of COD to be played. Probably there's going to be 2 controls in that, which probably isn't ideal either, in my opinion at least, and it's going to take more time than an hour and a half. So I don't actually think this is going to be true. I'm pretty sure they're going to do what they've done in the CDL, and those series will be best of 5s and then best of 7 finals. But I do kind of agree that in an ideal world, if you are going to run a single elimination tournament, you should probably try and do it like it was back in the Black Ops 3 days of Stage 1, Stage 2 playoffs, where it was a best of 7 if it's going to be single elimination. So, yeah, as Brian says, group play double elim GSL groups, top 8 is a single elim bracket, all best of 5 until the grand finals, which is probably expected, but maybe is somewhat unfortunate. But at the same time, there's just so much COD going on. 4 best of 7s in a day is probably quite the task for, you know, well, timing, let's say, and how long that's actually going to take to make it work. If they were going to do it best of 7, they'd probably have to separate it over 2 streams and do, like, you know, quarterfinals at the same time on a couple of different streams. They could do that because they're doing that for groups, but that's maybe not the best way to organize the tournament. Some debate on that, but I wanted to share a couple of clips here, certainly from Scrappy's side, on the scrims that OpTic did. Everyone was watching them play. We talked about them earlier on today. Dashy was frying, etc., etc. But he gave his thoughts on Shotzzy. Now, it's worth saying that to some degree, I think this clip was taken out of context here. Scrappy's obviously having a joke and a laugh on some level, and I'm pretty sure what he said where he's playing Snoopy COD, I'm not sure he was necessarily referring to Shotzzy's play as Snoopy COD, or more so referring to the fact that he was playing against Snoopy COD, and therefore, you know, it's easier to win.
I agree with that, but the routes he takes...
Brother, Shotzzy's getting a kill and instantly going to the next spot, like instantly, bro.
He's playing Snoopy COD.
Oh, he's not. Snoopy caught. Are you fucking high? How much fucking papaya are you fucking smoking?
Snoopy caught is insane.
Don't piss me off, because I'm in New Jersey right now. You know I get pissed off in Jersey, bro.
Look at how he look, bro. Jesus Christ! I know how you're big this big of an OpTic
I'm a
fan.
big
Fucking
Shotzzy
Christ.
fan. I'm a big Shotzzy fan.
Uh-oh, Tom's in Jersey. He's about to start crashing in the
My
basement.
bad, bro. I didn't know that's your favorite team.
He's about to
No,
start crashing
I'm
in
just
the
a big
basement,
Shotzzy. I'm just a big Shotzzy fan.
Nah, I think like I get what Ernie's saying. Though.
No,
and,
I
and
agree.
this has like better like micro shit.
And a big
than,
Ghosty
like,
fan.
Micro positioning.
9.9.
His micro positioning.
This is great.
It's like
man.
movement decisions.
I
and all that
got
kind of shit.
flamed for saying that
Fucking
word.
hell.
I think Pat was
But
like
bro,
micro
Yeah,
Let me
positioning.
get fucking
The
Hector a
routes
call
that he
because
takes
fucking
are
Tom wants to join.
like, insane.
No, I'm FaZe for life. FaZe up, baby.
I'll send a tweet over to him. Your
Yeah.
map
Long
was
as
godlike,
fuck.
bro. When
Like,
the
the
P4 went to the
slide-
street, it was awful.
The slide cancel
How many
looks
movements
smooth.
gonna be so
There's,
fun? It looks like it just looks smooth.
bro, there's no. From what
It
I
does.
watched people play the
Feel that
leagues,
it's
there's no
controllers.
there's no tack sprint or not tack sprint. What is it called? Tack stance. Whenever you slide cancel, like you know in this game, like you get that like weird tack stance delay. It's annoying. They
Bro,
don't
like
have
when
that.
you're done sideways.
Yeah, when you're gun sideways,
I mean,
they don't
yeah,
have
who
that
the
whenever
fuck
you're
put
slide
that in the
canceling.
game?
No,
Fire him.
I think it's still in the game,
Like-
but you have to like toggle
fire
it. You
him,
can turn it off or
please.
something. But that's nice. The slide is long as fuck. The omni movement looks good. You want what movement's gonna be?
him.
You want what movement's gonna be?
I mean, I
OP?
can't say that because that's the reason I got fined, but like, I'm sorry.
How much did you get fined, bro?
Bro, someone came in my chat and said there's a Reddit post that said I got fined 30 racks across the year.
So Scrappy's always saying something which is going to cause some degree of controversy. At the end of the day, I don't think Shotzzy's going to care what anyone says about his play at the moment. He's just won champs in the MVP. I think also for Scrappy, you've got to wonder what his consideration is for next year. Because I saw this floating around that Top Shotter Devi put on the Reddit here, which is basically looking at the top teams and how they've performed against the best teams. So this is the best matchup of each player against the top 4. So Scrappy matches up best with OpTic. They've played 5 times. Scrappy overall against OpTic this year has a 1.14, and of those 5 series, he's gone positive 4 times. But the other ones, it doesn't make for pretty reading, because Insight's best performance against any of the top 4 teams, OpTic, New York, or FaZe, is against FaZe with a 0.97 or 0.96, and he's gone positive 3 out of 7 times. CleanX, he's got a 0.99 against OpTic, he's gone positive 2 out of 5 times, and Envoy has gone at 0.96 against New York, and he's gone positive 3 of 5 times. And that's their best matchup, right? Like, Envoy against OpTic is worse than this. OpTic against FaZe is worse than this. CleanX against FaZe in New York is worse than this, and obviously the same story there for Insight and for Scrappy as well. But at least Scrappy's in the green, whereas the other guys are in the red. So that's the thing. If you're Scrappy, say what you want. Like, is he going to say no if hypothetically Shotzzy wanted to leave and go and play with Scrappy? Like, no. I mean, I do think Scrappy's got to look at his roster and think, okay, are we going to be good enough next year, basically, with the way that things have currently looked? But intriguing your thoughts in the comments below. Just to close out the video here, we have the number 5 player being Formal, number 6 player being Simp, number 4 player goes to Clay. I think this is, exactly how I would do it. I think the top 3, top 5 are relatively clear cut. And I agree with the top 5 that he's come up with, right? I mean, I would go Kremp 6, probably Scump, Karma is the way that I would do it nowadays, then Clay, then Formal. I think that's your top 5. You can debate whether Karma's the GOAT, whether Scump's the GOAT, whether Kremp's the GOAT. It's tough to make the argument for Clay, to be fair, but he's obviously done it all, and he's won the most championships. He's probably been on the most different teams that have won events together, stuff like this. So just absolute legends. I think clearly, I would say 4th. I personally have him over Formal in my list, and I think that's probably fair on the amount of time that he spent in the game and everything. You can argue it both ways, talent and all this. People also forget how good Clay was back in his day, like especially Advanced Warfare Clay, stuff like this. He was right there with Formal in terms of being the best AR in the game. So I think as we round out this list over the next couple of days, the question is really going to be, what's it going to take for a guy like Simp to break into the top 5? Because that top 5 of Formal, Clay, Scump, Kremp, Karma, like that's a pretty difficult thing to actually get into. But obviously people are going to have their own opinions. But very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Listen to this, bro. You know how I bought that camera? The little DJI one, the little vlog camera? I get it. I open it, bro. It's filled with sticks of Play-Doh. Bro, let me show you take a picture. It's filled with sticks of Play-Doh, bro. Look at that. Black bars of Play-Doh. Bro, $1,000. Bro, 1,200 Canadian dollars I spent. Did I buy it off eBay? You fucking idiot. No, I bought it off Amazon. I called them. I'm like, yo, I bought a fucking $1,200 camera. It's filled with fucking Play-Doh. And they're like, 4 sticks? Okay. I'm like, bro, what? I'm like, bro, do you know children's Play-Doh? She's like, what the fuck? She's mind blown. I'm telling her children's Play-Doh. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. Children's Play-Doh. It's filled my camera box up. When I bought the camera, when I clicked on the sold by, it's on Amazon, right? But anyone can sell anything on Amazon. It says sold by this guy. I click on this guy. His comments say scammer, scammer, scammer. I'm like, bro.